We were young, so in love, our dreams intertwined, a tapestry of shared hopes and aspirations.
We promised each other forever, believed in our love story.
I felt safe with him, happy, complete.
He proposed on a beach, sand between our toes, the salty air thick with romance.
I said yes without hesitation. A resounding yes that echoed the certainty in my heart. We were meant to be. This was the fairy tale I'd always wanted.
Little did I know fairy tales often turn into nightmares. Years passed. Our love deepened, or so I thought. We shared countless moments of joy and laughter, celebrating anniversaries and milestones. Each year, we grew closer, or at least, that's what I believed. We were inseparable, or so it seemed. We built a life together, a home, careers, a dog named Charlie. Our weekends were filled with home projects and playful afternoons with Charlie. We were a team, tackling life's challenges side by side. Our home was our sanctuary, a place where we felt safe and loved.
He was my best friend, my confidant, my lover. We shared our dreams, our fears, and our secrets. He knew me better than anyone else, and I thought I knew him just as well. Our bond was unbreakable, or so I believed.
But slowly, subtly, things began to shift. The laughter became less frequent, the conversations shorter. We started sitting apart, lost in our own thoughts. The warmth that once filled our home began to fade, replaced by an unspoken tension. His gaze seemed to wander. His touch, once electric, felt distant. The spark that once ignited our passion was dimming. I noticed the way he looked away, distracted by thoughts he didn't share. Our hands still touched, but the connection felt hollow.
He worked late, more often than not. The late nights became a routine, and the excuses piled up. Just one more project, he'd say, but the projects never seemed to end. The office became his refuge, a place where I couldn't reach him. His phone became his shield, always face down, buzzing with secrets I wasn't privy to. The notifications were constant, but he never shared who they were from. It was as if the phone held a world I wasn't a part of, a barrier between us. I brushed off the nagging doubts, told myself I was being paranoid. I convinced myself that it was just a phase, that every relationship had its ups and downs. I tried to ignore the growing distance, hoping it would pass. Love means trust, I reasoned, pushing down the unease that was starting to bloom in my chest. I reminded myself of our happy moments, of the love we once shared. I took deep breaths, trying to calm the storm of doubt within me. But the first cracks had appeared, and I couldn't ignore them forever.
One night he forgot his phone at home. He never forgot his phone. A sense of dread washed over me.
My intuition screamed at me to look, but my heart begged me to stay blind. Curiosity, that cruel temptress, won.
His messages were open. A name I didn't recognize flashed across the screen. Her words, filled with sickening intimacy, pierced through me like shards of glass. Each message, a nail hammered into the coffin of our love. My world crumbled. He came home to find me numb, eyes red-rimmed, phone clutched in my hand like a lifeline. The messages on the screen were like daggers to my heart, each word cutting deeper than the last. I had read them over and over, hoping they would change, hoping it was all a terrible mistake. The color drained from his face as he saw the messages reflected in my eyes. His expression mirrored my own disbelief and horror. It was as if the ground beneath us had shifted, leaving us both unsteady, unsure of what to do next.
There were no excuses, no justifications. He knew that any attempt to explain would only make things worse. The silence between us was deafening, filled with the weight of unspoken words and shattered trust. Just the cold, hard truth. The reality of his actions hung in the air, undeniable and unforgiving. He had betrayed me, and there was no going back from that.
How could you? My voice was a broken whisper, the pain raw and visceral, choked my words. I had trusted him with everything, and now that trust was shattered, lying in pieces at our feet. After all the years, after all we promised each other, my question hung in the air, heavy with betrayal. The memories of our shared moments, our dreams, and our future plans now seemed tainted, overshadowed by his actions.
He couldn't meet my gaze. Shame and guilt etched on his face. The weight of his betrayal was evident in every line, every furrow of his brow. It was a moment that would forever change us, a scar that would never fully heal. The room felt colder, the air thicker as we stood there. Two people who once loved each other, now divided by a chasm of hurt and betrayal. Section 5. The weight of his lies.
He confessed. Every lie, every stolen moment, every whispered word of affection meant for another.
His words were daggers, each one piercing deeper into the already shattered remnants of my heart.
He pleaded for forgiveness, swore it meant nothing. But his apologies were empty, meaningless. How could he claim to love me while giving himself to someone else?
His infidelity was a betrayal of everything we were supposed to be. Section 6. Picking up the pieces.
The following days were a blur. Pain, sharp and unrelenting, pierced through the fog of disbelief. How could my life, once so vibrant and full of promise, be reduced to this wreckage?
I couldn't bear to stay in our home, a constant reminder of the love we had built and he had so carelessly destroyed. Each room held a memory, now tainted with the bitter aftertaste of his betrayal.
Packing my bags, I left.
Section 7. The long road to forgiveness. Forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. It is a path that winds through the dense forests of our emotions, stretches across the vast plains of our memories, and climbs the steep hills of our pain. It is a long, often lonely road that we must walk step by step, day by day.
Forgiveness. The word felt foreign on my tongue. It was a concept I had read about, heard about, but never truly understood. How could I forgive when the pain was still so raw, so real? How could I speak the words when my heart was still heavy with hurt? A distant concept I wasn't sure I could ever embrace. It seemed like a far-off horizon, always out of reach, no matter how far I walked or how hard I tried. The books I read spoke of peace and healing, but all I felt was a deep, unending sorrow. He had shattered my trust, broken me in ways I didn't know were possible. The picture frame of our life lay in pieces, the glass shards cutting into my soul. My hands trembled as I tried to pick up the pieces, but they slipped through my fingers, leaving me bleeding and broken. How could I ever forgive him for that? How could I let go of the anger, the betrayal, the deep sense of loss? I hugged myself tightly, trying to hold together the fragments of my shattered heart. I sat on that park bench, lost in thought, wondering if I would ever find the strength to forgive.
Time, they say, heals all wounds. But time seemed to move so slowly, each tick of the clock a reminder of the pain that lingered. The sunsets came and went, the pages of the calendar flipped, but the wounds remained, deep and aching. But the scars of his betrayal ran deep, a constant ache in the depths of my being. I stared out of the window, the world outside a blur of colors and shapes. Inside, the darkness enveloped me, the tears falling silently, a testament to the pain that refused to fade. I was lost in a labyrinth of pain, anger, and resentment. Each path I took led me deeper into the maze, the walls closing in, the way out obscured by the shadows of my past. I stood at the crossroads, confused and afraid, unsure of which way to turn. Forgiving him felt like betraying myself, like minimizing the enormity of his transgression. The photograph in my hand was a reminder of what was lost, the letter a symbol of broken promises. I clenched my fists in frustration, the anger bubbling up, threatening to consume me. But deep down, I knew that forgiveness was not about him. It was about me. It was about finding peace, about letting go of the pain, about healing my own heart. And so, I took a deep breath and began the long, difficult journey towards forgiveness. Months turned into a year.
The sharp edges of my pain dulled, but the ache remained.
I was learning to navigate the world as a single woman, carrying the weight of his betrayal like an invisible burden.
The world kept spinning, indifferent to my heartbreak.
People told me to move on, to find someone new.
But how could I explain that a part of me, the part that believed in love, in forever, had died the day I discovered his infidelity?
Therapy became my lifeline.
Week after week, I poured my heart out, dissecting the wreckage of our relationship, trying to make sense of the senseless.
Slowly, painstakingly, I began to piece myself back together.
I realized that forgiveness wasn't about him, it was about me.
It was about releasing the bitterness that was poisoning my soul.
It was about choosing to heal, to reclaim my life and my happiness.
Years later, I met someone else.
Someone kind, compassionate, someone who looked at me with eyes that saw my pain and didn't shy away.
Rebuilding trust felt like learning to walk again after a devastating fall.
It was a slow, tentative process, fraught with moments of doubt and fear.
But with each passing day, with each act of love and kindness, he chipped away at the walls I had built around my heart, proving that love, real love, was still possible. Infidelity is a betrayal that cuts deep, leaving invisible scars that linger long after the wounds have healed.
But it doesn't have to define you.
It doesn't have to break you.
It taught me the importance of self-love, the power of forgiveness, and the resilience of the human heart.
It taught me that even in the face of unimaginable heartbreak, we have the power to rise, to heal, and to love again, stronger and wiser than before.